So while we're waiting, welcome first of all, but while we're waiting, we'll kick it off officially in a few minutes. While we're waiting, I invite you to put your name, the city you're calling in from, as well as, if you like, your LinkedIn profile into the chat. And if that's too easy of an exercise, I'll give you one more. If you haven't done the poll that was in the email, you can use the next 1 or 2 minutes while we're waiting to do that. It's a little warm-up exercise. No need to do it really, but just a thought while we're collecting more people. Yeah.
KP, do you have the link handy to just pop in the, otherwise I can try to pull it up.
Well, it's in the email, last email
Yeah.
that you sent, but yeah, no, I do not have it handy. Where is it?
I think I got it. No worries.
All right. Thanks, Kathy. Hi, Greg. How are you?
Quite well, thank you. How are you, KP?
Good, good, good. Thanks for joining.
A pleasure, sir.
All right, we will wait about 1 minute longer. And of course, it would be nice for people to turn on their camera because it's going to be a relatively small group. And in a way, this is a community event. We're all like-minded and like-valued people. And it would be great if we could switch on the camera. As we get into it, it's a different story. You can leave it on or off. On would be great for the latter part of the session when we talk to each other. But now, as we're doing a little intros and so on, would be great to have camera on. Up to you. And I know some people might be eating. Hey, Gina. Hi, Hope.
Hello.
Okay, it's 12:03 in New York, and so we're gonna get started because this is gonna be fast-paced, and I have about 7 minutes left for my little intro before Kathy will really take us through the content. And with that, Kathy, let's put up the title slide. Can everybody see this? Yeah, okay, great.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So welcome one more time. My name is Konstantin Popovich. I'm the board chair of the New York City chapter of Conscious Capitalism. And I'm here with Kathy Eastwood, who is a board member and the former chair of the chapter. And together we're gonna orchestrate this session. You'll see it's a session that is very action-oriented and practical. We don't like to ponder on theory too much. We want to give people practical tools, but it's also going to be quite interactive, yeah? Because nobody likes to just listen to us for 45 minutes, yeah? Because it's a mixed group and some people are aware of what conscious capitalism is and some may not be, we'll just run quickly through that. Next slide, please. Conscious capitalism, a movement, an organization, and a business practice, right? And it's really the practice of a different kind of capitalism where business is a force for good, right? So that's really the one-liner here. And then even when it comes to what's the bedrock of the movement, there's 4 tenets. It's quite simple. And for those who have not seen them yet, here's the way how our co-founder Raj Sisodia articulates them. Next page. Kathy? Yep. Right. So there are 4 of them. We're going to start with number 1 today, which is you cannot be a conscious capitalist without having defined a higher purpose that goes beyond profit. Then you need to move from a pure shareholder orientation to a stakeholder orientation. You have to develop conscious leadership skills and then instill them in your next line of leaders. And then finally, and this is really, really important to us, is you have to really cultivate a caring and conscious culture. Now, can you move on? Next page. When it comes to New York City, we thought about, okay, so how are we going to put a little bit more focus into this? And we thought about what is New York about? There's a couple of things, right? So first of all, is somehow the capital of pure capitalism, if you will, right? And different people come at it from very different angles. But there's one thing that unites us, and these are our fundamental human values. And so our point of view is that if we unlock that, if we unlock what unites us, that makes everyone win. So we want everyone to win, not just some people to win. And so we will actively shape a business ecosystem where fairness, integrity, respect, and empathy are foundational business values key to decision making and considered drivers of success. That's our own mission statement for the New York chapter. And for those who are part of New York, we hope this is inspiring to you and you'll join us in future events as well. So let's talk about this Lunch and Learn webinar series. It is first and foremost from our community for our community, right? So you'll never see experts who are going to have a teacher-student relationship with the participants. No, we don't want to lecture. We want participatory experiences, right? So that's what all of these will have in common. On a quarterly basis, we'll work through the 4 tenets, and then in between, more ad hoc, we will cover other important subjects. And within that, we're even open to suggestions and collaboration of what these could look like. And with that, let's get started on today's subject. Next page. As I said, we're going to get real practical. Yeah? We're going to talk about the 3 phases in your purpose journey. For each phase, we're going to present one framework, and then we're going to offer you a worksheet. And it says one worksheet, but there's going to be 2 tabs because some of us are employees in the bigger organization and some of us are business owners. So there's going to be a worksheet for each and you can pick accordingly, right? And so in the next 35 minutes, we're just going to keep it light on the inspiration and explaining the phases and the frameworks. Then we're going to actually go into individual thinking mode. And then we're going to come back and share back and discuss. And you'll see the worksheet gives you lots of options on what you want to be thinking about, depending on where you are in a purpose journey and what you choose to prioritize, right? And so we are hoping that by the time we get to share back and discussion, everybody will stick around because that's really what this is about. It's about, and actually some of you put this in the poll, yeah? You're here because you want to exchange of thinking between like-minded individuals, right? So that's kind of what the last 15 minutes really is about. So I invite you to go the full distance. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Kathy to take us through the first part.
Great. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. So I always like to start with, the basics. So what is purpose? Purpose is the reason something exists, right? It's really the deeper motivation that brings meaning to what we do, whether as individuals, teams, or organizations, right? It helps give direction to our actions. It's the why behind all of our effort. And when we have purpose that is clear, it becomes easier to focus. This way, decisions will be more aligned, there's momentum. Even when things get hard, there's a sense of what you're working towards. But what happens when we don't have purpose? Sometimes it's good to see the other side of it. And we see this a lot of time for people, for organizations, they start to spin, right? Because they might be busy, but they're not grounded. Maybe they're growing, but they're not sure if they're going in the right direction. So without purpose, we don't really have direction. And when you think about it and what motivates us, what inspires us, logic tells us what we should do, but it doesn't move us. Emotions do. And purpose is that emotional driver. And it should really act as our anchor because with that, it helps us move with more intention. And if we think about it as it relates to conscious capitalism, at Conscious Capitalism, we believe that elevating humanity through business really starts with knowing your exact why. Why are you here? Why does your company exist? Because without this, you have no compass to find and stay focused on your North Star. And your North Star is your purpose and action, right? That's what moves our stakeholders. And while profit is important, it is not the same thing as purpose. Profit is the outcome. Purpose is the driver. So with this mindset at the heart of conscious capitalism, what we really think about is, yes, profit matters, right? Because if we're not making money, we can't have a business, but it's not the only stakeholder. Purpose matters because it's what inspires people to show up, contribute, and stay. And one done well, it really energizes your culture, strengthens your stakeholder trust, and fuels that long-term success. And it really becomes a virtuous cycle. For those that are familiar with Ken Blanchard's leadership profit chain, when you focus on your purpose, your people, your customers, that's when the profits will follow. When you excite your employees, they stay, they're more productive, they're more innovative. That's when you start to drive happier customers who stay, buy more, refer you. And this is when you start to drive profitability in the company as the result of doing these right things. And in fact, companies that invest in their people and their purposes first are 23% more profitable than companies that do not. So when purpose is real, it's not just written, it creates that virtuous cycle. So let's talk about some examples. Whole Foods, for example, their purpose is to nourish people and the planet. And this goes beyond just providing groceries, right? It's about being the well-being, the sourcing, sustainability, and community activities. Lego is focused on inspiring and developing the builders of tomorrow. It was really great when I heard this one. Like, it seems obvious, but I'm like, oh my God, imagine waking up every day and going, oh, I get to inspire the builders of the future. How exciting. It's simple, it's playful, it's future focused. Motley Fool, talks about how to make the world smarter, happier, and richer, right? They're a finance company, but they're also centered on helping humans flourish. If you look at IGS Energy, to build a meaningful energy future together, right? They're not just in the business of selling energy, because that just doesn't get people excited. It's about shaping the future with partners and community, right? You start to hear the other tenets of conscious capital come in, that this is more than just our shareholders. This is about all of the stakeholders. And what you're seeing here are not taglines. This is meant to help the stakeholders, the employees, the customers, the investors understand what a company stands for. And more importantly, that they create alignment and intention. Hyatt, another one. We care for people so they can be at their best. It's not about the rooms, it's about the people. And it's not all big brands. Also smaller consulting firms like Jabian Consulting to help our clients and colleagues pursue their greatest potential, making a meaningful difference and enjoy the journey. So these are not just marketing lines, because when you do this right, they become the strategic filters for every decision. So let's bring it home a little bit for your own company, for your own self, and think about what's that ideal state. Because what does it look like when you have that purpose fully alive in a company? It shows up in how customers feel about you, how your teams make decisions, and how leaders invest in their resources. Because purpose isn't a banner, it's a behavior. So here are some of the key questions from the Purpose Audit in the Field Guide to Conscious Capitalism. And if you don't have this guide, I'll be quite honest, it is powerful, right? It's one thing about reading the book and the stories. There you go, Greg. Love it. Thank you. It's got the exercises in it, right? It helps walk through. And that's what we're doing here, is to help you be in a community to walk through it. So, some key questions around the ideal state. You know, our organization is focused on the needs of our customers, not just the wants and desires, right? We have a clear vision of how the world would look when we succeed and fulfill our purpose. Our investments in R&D priorities reflect that higher purpose beyond profit, right? We're actively seeking to work with suppliers and other business partners who share a commitment to our purpose. This is the bar, right? So this is actually an assessment you can do, but it sets the standard. Fives across the board, all of these statements would be true and accurate. But we're all at different points in our journey. We're not all there. And we're not expecting anybody to have it all figured out. This is that journey that we can work together and to aim for. So let's talk about a little bit more on how to get there, because there's really 3 steps in this journey that are really helpful. First and foremost is remembering a tagline should be focused, it should be simple, but high enough, but not unrealistic, and it should be emotional. So how do you go about building that purpose and embracing a purpose? Number 1 is discovery. Understanding where you come from, your strengths, your core values, really doing the discovery and the investigation of it. And we'll talk about the framework. We have a number of questions that you really can think about on this journey of discovery. So once you've done that discovery, you go, yep, I've got a purpose. Then you want to make sure that you're able to articulate it. And this is about being able to answer questions like, why do we exist? What impact do we want to make? So that articulation helps the groundwork to start to bring it to life, right? Because we need to be able to share what it looks like, how it feels. And we have another framework for that, the healing framework, to help ensure that it's heroic. And we'll go through that in a minute. And then the third one is around enculturation. And that has taken me a few times to practice that word. So if I mess it up, please give me a little grace on that. It's a big word, but I love it, right? It's about how do you bring your purpose into your business? How do you ensure that it is not just words on a piece of paper or on a website, but that it is embedded and enculturated into all of your daily decisions, your behaviors, and ultimately your culture. Your culture should represent that. So again, this is not a one and done, it's a practice. And it's about looking at it and then embracing it and improving it. So if we go into discovery a little bit, the purpose discovery, this is that chance to dig in. And this is what's in the worksheet, right? So we're going to start to think about, where are you in this process? Are you in the discovery phase? Are you in the articulation phase or the enculturation? So when you talk about discovery, it's not about inventing something new, right? We're not sitting here and going, oh, I have an idea, right? Like, this has been building up in us, in the business. There's a reason we're here. It's about uncovering what's already there, right? And this framework allows you to revisit your past. Consider the successes and failures. What patterns seem to emerge and energize you or drain you, right? We shouldn't work on stuff that drains us. What sets us apart? What challenges the norms? How do we compare strengths, passion, impact, and reward? Are there overlaps, right? This is about talking to fans. Who are those people that are your advocates and say, this is what you're able to do? And oftentimes it can be different than what you are doing, right? So listening for that. And really thinking about the stories, what brings this to place. If any of you are familiar with the Ikigai model, it's a Venn diagram that maps, I see Z shaking their head, right? So what do you love? What are you good at? What does the world need? What can you be paid for, right? When all of these overlap, that's Ikigai, your reason for being, right? So this framework here follows a similar path. but with more personal, story-driven lenses to get you there. And it's about it's not about perfect. This is about having enough signals to see and begin seeing a pattern that feels authentic, energizing, and aligned. Okay, because at the end of the day, purpose isn't something you write down once and forget. It's something you rediscover, refine, and realign over and over again. So after that discovery, the next phase then is really about articulating it. And I love the healing. I think it's the nomadic. Did I get the right word? Is the healing, right? So this is about asking yourself, how does this show up? Not just in words, but in energy. Because articulating purpose isn't just about what you do, it's the why and how it feels to be part of it. Think of your purpose like a living force. What tone does it carry? What kind of motion does it create? Right? And so you should be asking yourself, is this heroic? Is it big and bold and bold? Is it worth fighting for? Is it evolving? Right? A great purpose should be about growth, reinvention, purpose, looking forward, not backwards. It should be aligning, bringing people, values, and systems together to create connection and coherence. It should be loving. And I know Gina's on the call. She's going to put the big heart up. It's okay to say love in business.
Yes,
Right?
it is.
It should be deeply human, right? And we should lead with care, compassion, and belonging. It should spark action. Oh, sorry. It should spark action in others, lift and mobilize. It should be natural, authentic. This is not making something up. It's not about manufacturing what you think is going to work. It needs to be authentic and genuine and galvanizing, right? So that you're rallying people, that there's movement, momentum, and mission. So this is the articulation, the healing that you do. And then once you have that, and I know KP is like, come on, Kat, keep going. Now it's about getting your words to behaviors. Okay, so this is the third phase. So now you've got your purpose. How do you bring it to being? And what makes a purpose powerful is when it shapes the way you show up as a leader, as a team, as a company. And this is the enculturation phase, right? Making sure that your employees are on board, that they're informed, they're inspired, and they're engaged. Telling stories, showing the impact, living it, giving examples of how it shows up in the right places. Being willing to do the analysis of when there's a gap and it's not working. And then ultimately making sure all of your decisions, your to-dos, everything becomes going through this lens. And this is powerful for driving the business. This all takes courage. It's not easy. But when your purpose is operationalized, you will create a culture that's not only aligned, but energizing. So Patagonia is a great example. I'm going to come back to this because I could talk about this company for some time. But what we really want to do is start to see how we put this in action, right? How are you doing? How can you practice this? And how can you consider where you are in the process? So I think, KP, you're putting a worksheet in the chat if you haven't already for us. Feel free to download that worksheet, okay? And we put 2 tabs in there. Some of you are coming to us, as the owner of a business or starting up a business. So you can use the employee tab, no, the owner tab, obviously, sorry. Or if you're within a company and you're not driving it, we've reworded the questions so you can look at it for your company. Select what phase you're in. Are you in discovery, articulation, or enculturation? And then based on that selected phase, work through all of these questions to think about the reflection and what can you do next. And then we're going to ask you to come back and pick one that you'd like to share with the group, because as KP said, this is really about being interactive. So KP, let me turn it over to you. You're on mute. You're on mute, KP.
Rookie mistake after all these years. My God. Um, so if I can ask everybody to open the worksheet. Yeah? So we want to get practical. It's now reflection, thinking, and share back time. Yeah? So you go, everybody has the worksheet open, yeah? And so you see two tabs: in yellow, business owner, in green, employee worksheet. So if you work for a sizable company as an employee, and purpose is more like something that you're not fully in charge of, yeah, that's the worksheet for you. If you're a business owner, yeah, entrepreneur, or somehow in charge, then the yellow tab is for you. And then you can put your name and your company name, your purpose statement at the top. And then for the next couple of minutes, we want you to find the thing you would like to reflect on right now. Obviously, if you went through everything here, could take a full day or longer, could take multiple weeks. So we are giving you options, right? So do you want to reflect on the discovery phase, on the articulation phase, which is the healing, or the purpose enculturation phase? From the pre-poll, I could see there's a lot of people who are interested in that third phase. So we have a lot of interesting questions there. And then you can choose in terms of the share back, whether you just want to share reflections on a particular questions. You could pick one question and just ponder on that for the next couple of minutes, or two questions, up to you. Or do you want to share an inspiration? Maybe you have a best practice to share, right? Or you want to share an action that one of the questions has inspired, right? So we're going to get into individual thinking mode, and I'll let you know when time is up, in, let's say, 8 minutes or so. And then we'll just have a conversation and share back. Yeah. So the success of this webinar really lies within the next two phases of everybody putting their thinking hat on, and then the constructive discussion we'll have afterwards. Okay, so let's go.
This is Gina. I'm sorry I'm not on camera, but I'm driving. But the song you asked for music, the song on is Love is in the Air, so I can play that for you.
Okay, who else came out with a um, simple action point, the way Cam just defined it for him? Any ahas? Any questions that surprised you? Anything that a lot of people also here are familiar with what purpose is and how to develop one, anything fresh that you got inspired by?
I think maybe I'll share because I was like, oh, I don't need to do this. We're helping present, right? So I stopped to go, you know what? I got to take the time to self-reflect as well. And it's powerful to have to redefine it, right? And go back through it and say, does this still stand? Is it still accurate? So I started from the top because I would say I'm probably more in the articulation phase. But it was nice to go back to discovery again because it feels good.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. I really like the questions about when you're at your best and when you're not. I think that's really valuable. Whether I work at a sort of startup that's 200 people right now, tech company, but have counseled clients that are sort of Fortune 500 on this. But I think that is something that applies regardless, and sort of that reflection, regardless of where you are on the journey, looking back and I think it's sort of an iterative process as well. This is not something that you have and then it's okay. It's finished. It's also, it evolves as you evolve as well. So I think that's I like to have those, and that the ability to refresh is really interesting.
Thanks, Larry. Who wants to go next?
So Andrea is sharing. I don't know if you're willing to talk out loud on it, Andrea, or otherwise I can read it for you.
The reason why I haven't gone, I didn't unmute, is I've got some construction in the background going on, so I didn't want to be disturbed. But the big issue, and I'll make this quick, the big issue is I always set a high bar for myself. So I'm constantly looking at how I articulate my purpose. And I always wonder if it's strong enough and if it really resonates as I want it to be. I think the questions, as I walk through the questions, one of the worries that I have is obviously I'm somewhat biased in terms of how I answer them. So it's using the audit in such a fashion that potentially I can maybe bounce it off of other people as well. So that was kind of an aha for me. How do I use this framework and ask other people about my purpose?
Andrea, it's funny you say that because that was exactly what was going through my mind. We have a community here, and if everyone's open to it, let's network and use, come bounce it off of any of us, right? And I'd like to do the same thing.
Great. I'll be open to that, Kathy. So thank you so much for the invitation.
Excellent.
Kathy, like everybody here, I thought I had a good purpose for our company because it is a purpose-built company. And I think we have a purpose that resonates with our customer. But my key worry, as you were explaining this, is how are employees perceiving this, and how are they living it day to day? And it's not obvious to me that this is something that that they are embedding in their core values and their daily lives. And the key time and the key reflection to me is how do I bring employees, how do I bring this joy of this purpose to the employees? So I don't have an answer yet, but I'm continuing the thinking there.
So Wissam, were you in then the enculturation phase? Is that where you were really looking at those questions?
Yes, absolutely. Primarily for our employees, because I think we have almost like our marketing tagline communicates our purpose directly to our customers and on the surface to our employees as well. But I'm not sure they're internalizing as much as I would love them to internalize it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, I think
that's the challenge.
I think it's interesting that you bring this up because every company is different, and some companies are made out of 100% white collar professionals, and some companies are not. And then you have to also make sure that you don't leave anybody behind, right? And make sure that even frontline employees can track with what you're coming up with, so that it's not some sort of ivory tower exercise. And then I just saw Hope's comment. So a lot of us are actually solopreneurs of some kind, and I think one of the takeaways of the whole session for me is that if you are in a company, so Larry, you have 200 people, so you will find others to bounce these questions off with and have conversations, and maybe even your management will be interested. I guess you're part of the management. But my point is, if you're by yourself, you have to step outside and look for that validation from somebody else, right? And we can orchestrate something within our community. But of course, you want to also be doing this with clients or potential clients, suppliers, partners, etc. Which actually leads us to the second tenant, which we'll do our next webinar of. Okay, so we're a little bit out of time. Kathy, you want to kind of wrap it up?
Sure. All right. So just, to reground us again and the higher purpose, right? The higher purpose really is the heart of our organization, right? And that becomes the lifeblood of it. And it won't stick unless it's really actively lived and reinforced. And that's what Wissam was saying, a lot of us were saying, right? This is an opportunity for us to ask the questions, to put it out there. Does it work? put reward systems in place. So if people are wondering, I often will create month-end rewards or quarterly, right? So you recognize people that are embracing the purpose. And so you put them on the pedestal, or you highlight examples of where the company is doing something that is purposeful or not purposeful. I had an example with one company that I was with. They were all about quality, but they were also trying to define on time, go to market. So they had to make a decision. And so we celebrated a missed release because that was more important to show that quality was so important that we will celebrate that failure to embrace the purpose of the company. So with that, there's a bunch of tools out there. You have the self-assessment spreadsheet now. We were asked, we will send the deck out to those that joined us today. So you have the slides. If you don't already have it, the Conscious Capital Field Guide will go in more details, but we are going to be using that as the basis as we go forward and we continue this program. We have a monthly newsletter that goes out, so please feel free to check that out and also follow us on LinkedIn. So I've got the bit.ly there and the QR code will make sure you get to our LinkedIn, but sign up for the newsletters as well if you're not already. But I think you guys will all will be included in our newsletters now, but we try to keep everyone informed. And some of the upcoming events, we're going to have a conscious consumption in September, and these are going to be face-to-face events. And then in November, we're looking at conscious AI. And then in between those sessions, so we'll have another one of these working sessions online in October around stakeholder orientation. So we'd love to see you again all there and also in our face-to-face events as well. So thank you all for joining. Thanks to the board to helping make this come together, for all of you for participating. And if any of you have questions, comments, concerns, this is a community. Feel free to reach out and we can provide you resources and be a sounding board as well.
And for those who are in the New York City area, we will see you in September. Stay tuned for the details. Bye, everyone.
Excellent. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Okay.
Mostly.
So